Hey everybody, the Johnny Kage here, welcoming you back to another episode of the Game Kage. I figured that since the new Batman movie's coming out next week and he is my personal favorite superhero of all time, we would look back at Batman on the NES and see what this game still has to offer. Released in early 1990 and based, more or less, on the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman movie, this game is one of the few licensed games that really got it right. As you start up the game, we get an awesome cutscene of the Batmobile with Batman jumping out, ready to beat the hell out of anyone in his path. Really gets you pumped up for what's ahead. Batman's main weapon is a simple punch, but he also has 3 sub-weapons that he can use by collecting ammo, which show up as these purple blocks with missiles on them, giving you 10 ammo at a time. And these weapons include a single batarang, which uses 1 ammo, a gun that fires all the way across the screen but consumes 2 ammo, and finally 3 batarangs, which uses 3 ammo. And while it looks really cool, it's really not worth the amount of ammo it takes. I recommend just sticking to the punch and single batarang. Conserving ammo to use against stage bosses, also a smart idea. The best way to talk about this game is to talk about the levels themselves. Now, the first level is very straightforward. You'll be facing off against these thugs that run right into your punches, guys with flamethrowers, these little robots that kind of look like those tiny droids that drove around in the Death Star. But despite the simplicity of the enemies, the level does give you a number of opportunities to figure out how to wall jump properly. And you do this by pressing the A button to jump, obviously, and then pressing it again to jump off a wall that you're touching. A little tap for a small jump, or a long hold down to get you some distance. I love this ninja guy over here. He seems to be nodding off. If you don't get all that close to him, you can kill him quickly with a few batarangs. It's very fun to do. And finally, we got ourselves the stage boss. And if you were hoping for an actual Batman villain, well, you're gonna be disappointed, unfortunately. Except for the Joker, who is the final boss of the game. So for this guy, all you gotta do is try to find the sweet spot where he can't hit you, and then when he swoops down, hit him with some batarangs. He should go down without too much of a fight. Stage 2 is broken up into 3 sections, and will test your platforming abilities, getting a bit more difficult with each new section. The first part is nothing more than small platforms with acid dripping down from overhead, but it is times like these that I really think that the addition of a grappling hook into this game would have been an awesome item. But what can you do? So after taking care of a few more flamethrower enemies and jumping a pool of acid, it's on to the next challenge. Section 2 introduces electricity into the mix, filling the gaps between each platform. We also get a new enemy, some sort of a stationary turret that fires a clamp, I think it's clamp at least, but seeing as how the batarang has more range than it, shouldn't be too much trouble. Also at this point in the game, you're going to start having to drop off of platforms, then grabbing onto the sides of them, and then jumping onto other platforms. Some of them can be kind of tricky, but at least none of them are instant death. The third and final section to this level is full of gears that will damage you if you touch them, as well as conveyor belt platforms. Now this area isn't particularly easy, but at the same time, it isn't that difficult, and if you didn't have any trouble getting through the last area, then you have nothing to worry about here. The boss for this level is, well, the room itself. When you start off, you're going to want to immediately switch to the gun, and you're going to be firing a lot of shots, so hopefully you saved up a good amount of ammo for this. Now fire directly in front of you and take out the first turret, and then crouch down and take out the turret directly underneath it. Then carefully jump up to the upper right ledge and fire shots at the blue machine to the left. Just make sure you watch out for the lasers firing downwards on that conveyor belt platform, because they can block your shots. And after you take care of that, the wall behind you will immediately disappear and you will almost certainly get hit and knocked back. Now don't worry about it, just carefully jump back up using the wall jump and crouch next to the final part of the room. Wait for your chance to jump and punch it, and you should take down the boss of this level without too much of an issue. Stage 3 is when things really get going as far as the difficulty is concerned. The first enemy you run into is going to be your nightmare for the rest of the game. This guy is huge and will jump all over you. Your options for dealing with this guy are to try to punch it to death before it kills you, which is not likely, run from it and hope it doesn't follow you, or use the batarang and he should jump right over you and allow you to land enough blows to kill him. Now this is likely the first place in the game that you're going to get a game over, and if you haven't gotten one already. And I should mention that you do get unlimited continues from not only the stage you were last on, but also the section. And one last thing about the sewer monsters is that if you're low on health, but still have a good amount of ammo, you can use the gun to kill these guys when they're barely on the screen, but not yet attacking you. Stage 3-2 is not much different from 3-1, but 3-3 is a change. Just when you think you're done with the sewer monsters, you suddenly have to deal with these tank things from Terminator 2. They shoot fireballs from an angle, and while not as annoying as the sewer monsters, they are still a pain. Just try to stay somewhere where they cannot hit you, and you should be mostly alright. Just keep in mind that there are 3 of them in the area, and they can fire at you even if they're a bit off-screen. And it's also worth mentioning that this is one of those levels where if you fall, you can fall for quite a ways, so just be careful with the jumping. The boss of Stage 3 requires no strategy at all. It's kill him before he kills you. He hurls a giant energy wave at you that there's no way you could possibly dodge. Either way, this is a pretty short fight. Well, there you go, folks, a look at Batman on the NES. It has some awesome and colorful graphics, as well as memorable music. There are 5 levels altogether, culminating to an insane fight with the Clown Prince of Crime himself, which is just downright ridiculous. This game requires a good amount of trial and error, but it can be very rewarding to run through these stages once you figure them out. The only downside is I wish there would have been a driving level in this game, just to break up the monotony. Sure, there's no memorable driving scene from the '89 movie, but with the cutscene intro, I was really hoping for it in this one. Considering the new movie is coming out soon, now's a great time to pick this game up, and if you're a collector, you should be able to get this one for no more than $6 to $8 retail. Well, that's all for today, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. This has been the Johnny Cage. Please subscribe, like, and comment if you have not, and I will talk to you all next week when we add another game to the cage.